and welcome to the World Children's Day celebration out here at the Ministerial Complex. Firstly, we have introduction of the program, which is going to be done by our honorable speaker, the speaker of the Liberia's National Children Parliament Now Children Forum, Honorable Joel UK Gray. Put your hands together for him, please.
The World Children's Day is celebrated June 20th, and it is the 50th day since its celebration with the aim of raising awareness on issues that affect children mentally, emotionally, educationally. The World Children's Day was first celebrated by UNICEF December 14, 1954. Since 1950, June 1st, the World Children's Day was celebrated in post-communist countries and the communist countries. And now, with the thing, children taking over with the hope of a better future, the theme is actually brought out as a day since the pandemic. Children been marginalized and children's rights was violated. And the World Children's Day is actually celebrated with the aim objective giving children the opportunity to speak out issues affect them, giving the space for young people to identify issues in society and make recommendations to the national government or stakeholders. Once again, I thank you.
So, introducing our speakers for today, we have Roshai Finley and Arvin Atta, followed by Caroline Finn. Is Caroline out there? And then Abraham Davis, Ebony Ty and Roman Miller, Micah Scoper, Princess Koti, Winifred P., Mohammed Saleh, Nala Nuclear, Tarla Williams. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, as elegant and unique as they are, I'm pleased to present our speakers for today. So, every one of them has something unique to tell us about today, especially when it comes to issues affecting children in Liberia. And they are not just going to be speaking about that, but they are also going to be giving us a remedy on how can we curtail or move forward in a very peaceful way from this issue. Firstly, we have Roshai Finley and Arvin Atta, who's going to be talking on the topic child labor.
First, let's start off with what child labor is. Child labor is the exploitation of children through any form of work that deprives a child of their childhood and the right to go to school. There are many different child labor practices going on as I speak. There are even some going on in Liberia. Some child labor practices are when parents send their kids out in the streets to do construction work or sell in the market, just to help the family financially.
When I go to school every single morning and I look through my window, I see young kids, and they're on the street selling, some even begging. And I start to think to myself, and I ask myself, why? Why is it they're not in school learning something just like what I am about to do when I go? And I come to the realization that the whole situation is wrong. Parents shouldn't be using their kids as breadwinners for the family. When a kid is not educated, he or she may not know how to help contribute to the development of their country. And that is very nerve-wracking, especially seeing the fact that in Liberia, we need more doctors, more entrepreneurs, and especially scientists to help the country build.
There are approximately 152 million kids involved in the Child Labor Act. Child labor can cause extreme mental and physical health damages. When kids see their peers in school learning what they have the right to learn, they start to lean towards drugs, alcohol, and criminal practices. As more kids lean towards drugs, the criminal rate of our country increases.
So, my partner and I came up with 3 solutions to help with the elimination of the problem. One, as I call it, get one, teach one, whereas we, the privileged students, find time during the week to tutor other kids in our community. And as they learn, they also spread what they were taught, and the cycle continues, and it helps a lot. The second is whereas when the government helps to make more suitable conditions for private sectors, so there will be more job applications for these parents that need help. And as that happens, they will have more chance to afford their kids tuition and send them to school.
And our third idea is that the government increases the budget for education. For the fiscal year of 2021, the budget was 1.9 million. For the upcoming year, the drafted budget is 3.8 million. We're asking that the government increases the budget to 5 million so that kids who are underprivileged can have a chance to go to school to help grow Liberia and the economy as a whole. Thank you guys, and we hope you take our ideas into consideration.
Stay tight as we move on to the next speaker, Caroline Finn. Caroline?
Good morning, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. My name is Caroline M. Pham. This is the very first time for a child from my school to be asked to speak on a program like this. I therefore extend thanks on behalf of my class and the school. I feel honored and greatly esteemed being selected among many outspoken and intelligent children of my peers. This morning, I will be sharing my thoughts with you on the topic, every child has the right to education. But firstly, who is a child? A child is anyone under the age of 18 years. Then, what is a right? A right is something that belongs to you and should not be taken away from you. Lastly, what is education? Education is a process of acquiring knowledge, skills, value, moral, belief, habit, and personal development. Having defined these words, child rights and education, now we go back to the topic of discussion. Every child has the right to education. According to UNICEF guidelines, on the rights of a child, all children have the right to go to school regardless who they are, where they live, and how much money their families have. This statement therefore means that every child has the right to education, not just education, but quality education. Before I take my seat, permit me to leave the meaning of the word education. E, eagerly. G, determine. U, under. C, commendable. A, action. T, towards. I, identifying. O, obvious. Eagerly determine, under, commendable, action towards, identifying, obvious, nation builders. Once again, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I thank you.
Wow, wow, wow. So now we have people putting forth their views, telling you what they think when it comes to education, child labor. What is it that a child should do and what a child should not do? What is our parents' role when it comes to our education? And what are those things that they should provide for us? Thanks to the first three speakers for a splendid performance. Let's hear what Abraham Davis has to tell us about the advantage and disadvantages of children in Liberia. Abraham, you are welcome.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Standing before you, I'm Abraham Davis, and I'm one of the presenters and I will be talking to you about advantage and disadvantage children in Liberia. Firstly, we are going to define the word advantage and disadvantage. Advantage. Advantage is anything that places a person in a good or superior position. Disadvantage. Disadvantage put you in a good. Disadvantage put you in a bad and unfavorable position. The advantage of a children in Liberia are those children who have the opportunity to good education, good protection, have the right to good health care, have the right to play. The disadvantaged children are those children who do not have the opportunity to quality education, no proper protection, no good health care, and do not have the right to play. As a school-going children who need to be in school are all on the street selling as bread window for their family and themselves to survive, most especially for the girls who are used as sex workers to support their family. Some are forced into hard labor. And I want to tell you guys that the reason why all this is happening in my own understanding is because of three reasons. One, the country does not have job. If job was in the country, a young graduate who graduates from school would not be in the ghetto wasting his or her time. If job was in this country, that young graduate who graduated from school was going to apply for that job, was not going to be on the street as prostitute. And two, there are some parents who does not know the right of a child. If they was know the right of a child, they was not, or they wouldn't have sent that child on the street to go sell. Number three also is abortion. Some parents take out pregnancy on a daily basis in Liberia, and some of that kid that is in that pregnancy could be minister, doctor, lawyer, police, and so far. And therefore I'm asking the audience and our international partner to help us in this situation so that the number of our disadvantaged brothers and sisters will not increase in years to come. I thank you all.
That was beautifully said. Eboneta and Romina Miller is going to be talking to us about the wholesome family. Ladies and gentlemen, your favorite too.
Okay, today we are going to be talking on the topic wholesome family life. In every corner of the world, every child wishes for a happy family, a memorable upbringing. A wholesome family is a family where the parents is a healthy family, where the parents help to instill values, morals, trust, security, open communication, and clear spirituality. Sorry.
Like she said, a wholesome family is a healthy family, and every family should be able to provide the basic needs of their children, from food, clothing, and shelter to emotional and mental support.
Every child seeks for a warm place, a home to grow, and an area to support or make their dreams to come true. They are willing to do anything once you help them to fulfill their dreams. As for us today, what we want is a healthy family.
The early years of every child, the early years are really important when it comes to the outcome of children in the society. Those are the years that either make or break children. So when children are provided with opportunities to grow and develop, or they are faced with adversities and challenges that affect them negatively, their body, their minds, and their personalities as a whole.
In a survey of 54 students randomly selected in my school, have spent less than 35 minutes family time all week, which is very odd.
Now, this is where we talk about the family instabilities that hinder wholesome family life in Liberia for children. Now, many children are born onto unmarried couples or single parents, and most of the time, parents do not pay attention to the emotional needs of their children. And it's really important because it contributes a lot to the personality and the ability of children to contribute positively to the society.
All right, to add up to what Rowena just said, a family should be one that helps to grow up, keep a child morally confident in themselves. If you help a child or make the child feel accepted or make them understand or make them feel valued, it really helps a child.
There's a tendency that most parents have in Liberia where they compare their kids to other kids or they make their kids feel unvalued, not valued, not important. And doing those things or treating children in that way, it helps to break down their confidence, their self-esteem, and it also leads to long-term dangers.
Including depression, anxiety, which leads them to traumatic reactions in their personal relationships and performance, which is very bad for a child to go on in life knowing that you are not secure in your own family.
Another, another obstacle to wholesome family life in Liberia is financial instability. Now, many families have low income, and so they are unable to provide the basic needs for their children, like I said, which are required for a wholesome family life.
This level of poverty leads so many parents to force their children to work on the streets. And like I can remember a few months back when I was on my cell phone and I watched this video where few boys were on the road, and then a man stopped and asked, "Why are you guys out here? Aren't you supposed to be in school?" And then the other boy said, "Our parents don't have money to enroll us in school." And he said, I just felt so bad and it was so emotional that up to this day, I can't forget that person's face that I saw on that video.
The high poverty level in Liberia, there's an estimate of that says that 64% of the population live in poverty, with 1.3 million living in extreme poverty. And children in such families face challenges in obtaining quality education, quality health care, and social services.
And some ways or tips to help us build a wholesome family is quality time. We know that families that spend more time together with their children or their entire family help makes the bond stronger.
Parents need to allow their children to express their emotions, because when they keep it all inside, it's like loneliness, depression, and just anxiety. But when they show it outwardly as violence, aggression, and just negative behaviors. So it's important that parents encourage their children to communicate so that they can know the activities that go on in the lives of their children.
Appreciation. Every single parent got to compliment their child. Complimenting the child is like a step to building a lasting sense of morality. If you tell your child thank you for what they did, it can help make a difference in so many ways. Like if my parents encourage me, it can help me to move on more.
So another thing is individuality. Every child has to be treated as an individual. Every person has their own set of talents or their own set of skills, and these skills need to be nurtured in order for the children to reach their full potentials.
This is why everyone in here should carry this message out there. How you make us, how you engage us, make us. The healthier, the better. Every child deserves a memorable upbringing, one that is very, very psychologically friendly.
And it's important to ensure that every child has the necessities they need, from nutrition to nutrients to quality health and education, and just everything that will help build up the children of this country into positive contributing members.
So tell someone out there, the family is important. Every child needs to feel accepted, needs to feel understood and valued. Thank you.
What are our rights? What are those things that we should do? What are those things that should be made available to us? Marcus, you're welcome.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Standing before you, my name is Marcus Kopo. I count it a privilege to be a part of this historical event that will forever rely and remain in my lifetime. Today is World International Children's Day, and I will be speaking on the topic called the right of the child. Firstly, as you already know, a child is anyone below the age of 18 years, and right is an entitlement, something that is yours and should not be taken away from you no matter what. Therefore, according to the United Nations Convention guidelines on the right of the child, every child has the right to live, which is our God has given right. A name, family, religion, education, freedom, nationality, race, culture, and the list go on and on. We as children, we rely on government to help protect and defend our rights. As we celebrate this day, let us be reminded that there are many more helpless and disadvantaged children whose rights are being abused daily. Therefore, we call on government who is so duty bearer to protect and defend children against all forms of abuse without discrimination of race, culture, religion, or ethnic belonging. Before I close, I would like you all to be reminded once more that we are the ones that will lead the future, and as such, treat us like the leaders you want to see us become tomorrow. Once again, our distinguished guests, officials of government, my fellow boys and girls, I thank you.
Thank you, Marcus, for that strong message. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Princess Koti. Let's give it up for her, please. Thank you, thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Princess Koti from the Adelaide School, and today I'm going to be speaking to you shortly on rape, which is very harmful and disrespecting the human right of a person or a child. Rape, we say, is to force someone into sexual intercourse or men and women business. When we are forced into sex without our consent, it creates a serious problem like unwanted pregnancy, sexually transmitting infection, STD, HIV, and death, and depression and frustration. Parents, in order to keep us safe, stop using us as breadwinners, because if you do, you are exposing us to rape. And please do not let all grow in becoming a teenage mother or a teenage prostitute. Men, give us the space to learn and give us the opportunity that we are the next future leader for tomorrow that we can use to push and develop ourselves. In order to do this, we are currently asking our international friends and leaders, NGO, to please hold hands with the government and help us fight against this rape case. I could be the next victim if nothing is done. Thanks.
Winifred is going to be talking to us about the importance of girls' education. Winifred, you're welcome.
Hi everyone, my name is Winifred Pay, and I will be talking briefly on the importance of girls' education. Firstly, what is education? Education is the process of giving or receiving a system information especially in a university or a school. When girls have access to education, they develop their knowledge, their confidence, and the life skills of are necessary and adapt to our unchanging world. There are also a lot of benefits of educating girls or girls' children. One, when a girl child is educated within a nation, it brightens that country's future and betters their environment. Girls' education strengthens the economy and reduces inequality. There are also disadvantages of not educating a girl child, and there are one, when a girl is not educated, it reduces the participation of girls and women in decisions that most affect them. Some way, somehow, it affects them from being a productive girl or a productive woman. If a girl is not educated, it takes her determination to be a successful person or a role model. Girls' education are important because if girls are educated, majority of our positions in Liberia will be managed, it will be economized, and therefore Liberia will be on a rising. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I therefore encourage each and every girl in this room to take her education serious, to focus, and even some uneducated women, I encourage them to go back to school and put them on a red card by saying, no one is big for education. Before I take my seat, I would love to give my concluding statement. Firstly, I will call on Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection, Plan International, UNICEF, and other partners and stakeholders. So please encourage girls to increase the advocacy of women in rural areas to talk about the importance of education, to reach the information out in the northern and western side of Liberia so that the other people will be in the know and know the importance of education. Ladies and gentlemen, girls' education are important, girls' education are necessary, girls' education is a must. Because when you educate a girl child, you educate a whole nation. Thank you.
Mohammed and Omu Snow talking to us about child marriage.
I am a colleague, Umuso. We are going to talk about early childhood marriage, the basic factor that constitute the effect of early childhood marriage and the causes. And before I start, I want to give you a short story. It gave me a lot of tough time putting these works together. At first, when I started putting these pieces of works together, there was a lot of discouragement from my friends. They said to me, do you think whatever you are going to say that these people who you are talking to doesn't know? I said, of course they know, but they said, shut up. What do you want to tell them that they don't know? But I said to them, no. I'm not going to try it, and I will never try it. I'm going to do better.
First of all, let's look at the definition of early marriage. Early marriage is the marriage or union between two people who are younger than 18 years of age. The reasons why girls are married at early age are diverse. And sometimes parents believe that through marriage they are protecting their young girls, preventing to an unwanted pregnancies, sexual abuse, and increasing the economic opportunity. However, early marriage exposes a girl to increase in health problems, gender violence, gender inequality, and perpetuating the cycle of poverty. According to the UN statistic, 37,000 girls under the age of 18 are married in each day. 1 in 3 are married in the developing world before the age of 18. 1 in 9 are married before the age of 15. If the present trends be overlooked and continue, we will have more than 1,040 million girls married in each day in the next decades. Consequences of child marriage. Child marriage infrequently affects a girl's childhood, curtains her education, minimize her economic opportunity, and give her a high rate of pregnancies. Girls at 15 are more likely to die during childbirth than women in their 20s because of pregnancies injuries related. Child brides are unable to negotiate to severe sexual practice, and they are more likely to affect and sexual infection diseases. And I have a recommendations. It's not only one, it's more than one. Because early marriage issues is getting at higher rates in our country. One of the recommendations, we should encourage girls and women to not look down upon themselves, but to rather to compete to their male counterparts. 2, we should educate the parents. If we educate the parents, they will know the harms that will affect their children when they put them in early marriage. They won't be thinking that early marriage will increase their economic opportunity at all. And I'll give the stage to my colleague Mohammed Sula.
Okay, she said it all. Actually, she said it all. She made a very beautiful point. And I'm going to quote from her. Please do not blame me for plagiarism, but actually how she defined early childhood marriage, I'm going to do the same but in my own way. She said, early childhood marriage is the reunion of two pairs, that is, a teenager and an adult. A teenager which is about 12 to 17 years or above, and an adult that is about 35 to 40 years. These two are not meant to be married. Why? There are a lot of references. According to Henrietta Ford, an executive member of the UNICEF, executive director, she said, childhood marriage, what it does is that it transforms the position of a child to an adult. That is, giving the child responsibility. Only childhood marriage can turn a girl into a mother. Only childhood marriage can turn a boy into a father. That is, having to provide for the family, going out there, hustling tirelessly. In childhood marriage, also, there's no saving. The boy who is going to hustle out there, it starts like this. From him to my hand and that of the mouth to the family. That's all. There's no saving. And once there's nothing, there's not going to be a better future. So childhood marriage affects both boys and girls in many situations. Let me give you one. One of the causes of childhood marriage pertaining to boys, because she's already listed childhood marriage cause and effect pertaining to girls. So, as per boys, one, poverty. Like with divine poverty, poverty is the inability of one to meet up with their basic needs or the basic economic needs. And just take a scenario, in a clear scenario. A boy graduates from high school and there's no money for his father to extend him at a higher level, that is the university or the college. He has to sit down home with his father, work tirelessly. That boy will be working until he gets married. All of his dream will be shattered. There's no other way again for him to extend his education. And being that his dream is being shattered, he also have a family to care for. A boy at such a young age, dream being exterminated. So what he's going to do is that he's going to hustle out there. He's an unskilled laborer, so he's going to be given a round collar job. Job for unskilled laborer. Jobs that involve no saving. When you get today, you eat. That's why the African calls it your daily bread. You get today, you eat, and there's no saving. All the money you get is for you and that of the family. And some of the reasons that we have early childhood marriage, which is all the forceful marriage for girls, is because in most families we find what we call the incest. What is the incest? The incest is the process or the condition in which a family members have sex together. For example, a cousin and a niece, an uncle and a cousin, and so on. And if the cousin have sex with his niece, he wants to back up the situation. What is it going to do? The family doesn't want their reputation to be tarnished. So they are going to force that child into marriage in order to cover up all of the statutory rape. So that they are going to cover it because they don't want their reputation to be tarnished. And in some family we have what we call the avarice. There are some people who are greedy for money. There are some family that says that teenagers in a marriage cost a lot. They are costly. So if we give them for this amount of price, a guy is going to marry them with it and we are going to be rich. And this mainly happen in the case of child who either the mother or father have passed away or they are orphan living in the family. Example, my father passed away, my mother passed away, and I'm with my senior brother. I'm talking about the girls that are not mine, so don't confuse the whole issue. So the girl, her father passed away and her mother passed away, and she's living with her senior brother and that of his wife. So because her senior brother is in her father and his wife is in her mother, that love isn't as strong as compared to her mother. So they could exchange her in return so that the family could benefit. They could give that child out so that the money they are getting it could benefit the family. Why? Because she's not my daughter. These are some of the situations that we found ourselves in Liberia. And our voices surely needs to be here. We are the change makers of the next generation. In order for the next generation to be better, it all starts from here. And before I conclude with my speech, I would like to give some recommendation. I plead with the UN that they should conduct a child right education in every given society. Parents should know the rights of their child. Every child has the right to be educated. Every child has the right to have a free life. Every child has the right to make decisions of their own. That is their career in the future and also be able to choose their future partners. And my second recommendation, I'm pleading with the government of Liberia. I'm pleading on my knees to provide the school scholarship or tours for children. High school graduates shouldn't sit down home because the father doesn't have the means to carry them to universities or colleges. Scholarships should be provided so that we can have skilled labor in our country. Why is it that always Liberia is depending on other countries to come and face our roads? We are depending on other countries' scientists, they are doctors. Whenever we call America, we'll tell them that, oh, yeah, we need some people here to do certain work for us. What do they say? Okay, we are going to send technical support. Don't we have technical support here? Can't we send technical support to other countries too? Can't we send technical support to other countries? Why is it that other countries doesn't seek Liberia for help? Why? It's because of the situation we ourselves are living in. So I plead with the government to provide school scholarship and tool for each and every child.
The word goes like this and is from Lima Bowie. If not you, then who? If not now, then when? We thank you.
Nala Knuckles, who's going to be talking to us about drug abuse in Liberia.
My name is Nala Knuckles, and today I'll be talking to you about solving the problem of drug abuse among Liberia's youth. How can we solve the problem of drug abuse among Liberia's youth? Well, let me tell you a story. Back when my family and I first came to Liberia, we went to church. And in the congregation was this young man. After the service, this young man came to my brother and he tricked him and he stole from us. Later on, we found out that this young man was a drug addict and he sold our stuff for money. Now, my first point is how did drugs become a part of our society? Well, during the Liberian Civil War, an estimated 49.9% of men and 12.3% of women were using drugs. The likelihood is that children born to these men and women would experience stress and trauma from their parents. If these children needed help and had no other options, they might resort to drugs as a means of help. My second point is the effect of drugs on the youth. In 2012, a study showed that 51% of secondary school students in Monrovia were using alcohol and 9% were using marijuana. Drugs and alcohol have a very negative effect on students. It may cause us to lose interest in our studies, not work as hard, and focus our free time on less productive things. This may lead to students having lower grades and increased chance of dropping out of school. If students drop out of school, it may lead to young people becoming street sellers, bike riders, and beggars. My last point of this discussion is possible solutions to this problem. As one solution, I suggest youth centers and after-school programs for kids so that they can be busy and have something fun and productive to do with their free time. This may also enable children to relieve some stress or trauma they might be experiencing. I suggest rehab and therapy centers for those who need help recovering from their drug addictions. And I suggest that children be taught the dangers of drug abuse. This will discourage them from seeking drugs as a means of help. Thank you for your attention.
Let us welcome Miss Talia Williams, who's going to be talking to us about the transition from college to employment.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Today I will be discussing how hard it is for Liberian youth to find jobs after high school and college. Many youth do not finish high school to begin with. They do not have the resources to do so. Or maybe there is something hindering them from continuing their education. For example, teenage pregnancy. This puts females at a disadvantage. While they are at home taking care of a child, their male counterparts are still in school or rather looking for a job to support them. But what jobs are there for Liberian youth? The limited options are motorcycling, begging in the streets, selling, etc. There's no telling what someone will do when they are desperate. For the students who do graduate high school, their options are still limited. This is because college is very expensive for them. It is inaccessible and it is not affordable. And after that, when they try to look for jobs, you need connections. As long as you have someone with influence recommending you, you can get almost any job. But what happens when you don't have those connections? You can't get any jobs. This puts them at the same level as those who didn't finish high school. Both of my parents are Liberians. I was born in the US. I am privileged. Some may think that I don't have a say in this because I wasn't born here or I didn't experience it firsthand. But I can observe and I see that a lot of things that are going on in Liberia today should not be. And if something does not happen soon, those who can make a change will leave and not return. The students who do finish high school and college, they still have to deal with how hard it is to get work. Most jobs are government jobs for those who are privileged. Those who don't want to be in government, the jobs in the private sector that are meaningful and pay well are very rare. When I talk to my friends about our future and what different countries we're going to, we don't mention staying in Liberia, living and working here. That's because that most of the jobs are government jobs and the ones in the private sector are rare. I suggest that we take advantage of the beautiful sceneries that Liberia provides and build the tourism industry. We need to encourage others to invest in this country because if we don't invest in our own country, who else will? We cannot wait for others to create jobs for us. We need to create our own jobs. We need to strengthen and support our own people. We need to strengthen our community. The quality of education also needs to be improved. Education should be more affordable and accessible for those who are underprivileged. Some people might be too old for schooling or they just don't feel comfortable going back. So vocational schooling would be the best option for them. If we can successfully do this, we can give Liberian youth a chance to make Liberia into a wonderful country. We need to look to other countries as examples. We need to look to other countries as examples of what to do and what not to do. If we can do this, if we really pray and try, we can make Liberia into a paradise. Thank you for your time.
With all much that I do, I would like to invite on stage the former speaker of the Liberia's National Children Parliament, Honorable Chutumu Doti. Sir, you are recognized.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here today. And as I sat back listening to these children, I really felt inspired. As we all know, November 20, 1989, for the first time, the United Nations General Assembly was able to adopt the United Nations Convention on the Rights of a Child. Let us not forget, in the year 2011, the government of Liberia, through the legislature, was able for the first time to present to us what we now know as the 2011 Children's Law of Liberia. And as I sat back, listening to them, they all pointed towards the United Nations Convention on the Rights of a Child, and also talking about the 2011 Children's Law of Liberia. As a former speaker of the Liberian National Children's Representative Forum of Liberia, and a 2018 International Children's Peace Prize nominee, I want to use this medium today to call on all government partners, lines, ministries, and agencies, the United Nations, the child protection workers all over Liberia. Let's redouble our efforts for the sake of the children of Liberia. Thank you.
I'd like to welcome Miss Laida Ogar, UNICEF representative in Liberia. Put your hands together for her.
To all of you, and I would like to acknowledge each one of you by naming who you are. So, Alvin, Rochai, Talia, Nala, Ebony, Romina, Princess, Abraham, Mohammed, Umu, Caroline, Marcus, and Winifred. What you have done today is that you have demonstrated the hope for Liberia. You have spoken so well about what affects the issues that affect children and young people in Liberia. You have taken us through a discussion of poverty, early marriage, education, employability, violence against children, and the solutions. You have provided the solutions. You have communicated so well. You have demonstrated courage, awareness, including self-awareness, compassion, and empathy. And I think these are all the characteristics of success, of the future that we want. It's also what made Liberia. So thank you so much. And what I would like to say is that having heard what you have said, including the recommendations that you proposed, I'm not only reminded of the huge potential of Liberia, I'm also reminded, as you yourselves have reminded us, of the many other children of Liberia and young people of Liberia who are not here and who are very much, as you say, invisible. Children still living in very deprived conditions. Children whose futures are robbed from them. And what I liked about what you have proposed is the 1-for-1. And this is, I think, something that is a great start. It's also about us remembering that World Children's Day is very important, but it's even more important to remember children every single day. You have provided a very strong message to policymakers, many duty bearers, and you can trust us that this message will be shared at the highest level. This is the second time this week where I have seen the power of change. And as you yourselves have mentioned, you are the change makers. This is the second time this week that I have seen this. And with all our partners, what I can say is that the young people of Liberia are the change makers. And the message of investing in the change makers is something that we will take to partners as well. The moving beyond words into action. And this is something that also you clarified, you stated very clearly, and this is something that we will be working to ensure that there is a very clear agenda for children, an accelerated action plan for children in Liberia with our esteemed partners, starting of course with the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection, but involving all duty bearers, including parents, because you also spoke so well about parents and the need to ensure that we have good parenting programs. So to all of you, let us put a very loud applause, not only to you, but to the future of Liberia.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is how I draw my curtains to close down this section of the World's Children's Day 2021. It has been an amazing time with you guys, and I am Favor S.J. David. I was your MC or Master of Ceremony for the day. Thank you.